I must be in a time machine. It was 2020 to 2022 all over again. Rutgers loses a winnable game to Nebraska 14-7. Let's get to it. Okay, the happy talk is over. Rutgers loses to Nebraska in Lincoln 14-7. Yes, I know that temperature was a little heated and it was a little bit windy and felt it was out, and we had guys on the availability report, weren't sure if they were going to play, and had some young guys in there. Go out and beat them. This was a winnable game. And by the way, the coaches did not have a great game yet again. Our situational football and play calling in specific situations that can determine a game's outcome has been bad. This was a game, the things, my keys to victory that I said had to happen in order for us to be successful, virtually none of them happened. This was a 2020, 21, 22 Rutgers team where the defense kept you in the game as the offense struggled, tried to execute, and couldn't execute. And the thing that made it worse, we couldn't even run the ball. We said the running game had to succeed and had to play well. And Kyle had to have less of a Virginia Tech game and more of a Washington kind of game. We said that Nebraska, who holds opponents' rushing attacks to, 2.5 per game or 2.8, whatever it was. We averaged 2.4 today. Of course we were going to lose. And oh yeah, by the way, coaching staff, what happened to the running game after the first quarter? Kyle Monangai had 64 yards at the end of the first quarter. 64. We had some nice outside runs. We said how Nebraska was vulnerable on the outside. Up the middle would be a little more difficult. Those RPO plays that take a long time to develop. The chances of being successful up the middle against Nebraska weren't very good. Kyle did have a nice play in the first quarter where he had to bounce it back to the inside and cut across to the opposite side of the field for a nice gainer. But then we get away from the run. The coaching staff doesn't seem to be able to figure it out when they need to be conservative and when they need to get cute. Whether it's field goals, whether it's 4th and 1. We had a strength going into this game of having the 17th best third down conversion rate in the country. Nebraska couldn't get off the field on third downs prior to today. We were particularly bad in the first half. Nebraska was particularly good. We were sort of fortunate to be down 14-0. I was worried this game might get out of hand. And I knew from the moment that we failed on that fake field goal attempt that we were going to lose this game. Texted my buddy who I have season ticket with. I'm like, dude, that had no chance. Kick the 42-yard field goal and let's go. You're on the road against Nebraska. Take the points. I also said now you're giving Nebraska the momentum after you stopped them initially, even though they moved the ball a little bit. Now you're giving the momentum back and they march down the field like a hot knife through butter. Really predictable. What are we doing there? That play had no chance. The Virginia Tech going for the field goal when you shouldn't. When you should go for it, 4th down play calling. By the way, the coaching staff also missed an opportunity to set in motion to challenge that play where Kyle was in the end zone. He was in the end zone. If they had called that a touchdown, there's no way that they could have reversed it on the field. But the game shouldn't have had to come down to that. You got 4 shots from inside the 2-yard line, and you can't score. We have the ball in Nebraska territory 8 times. That one time, we kind of traded punts. We stopped them. We got the ball, and we're near their 30-yard line, and we lose almost 20 yards, and we got to punt again. This offense looked like a Gavin Wimsatt freshman sophomore year offense. It was terrible. Athan was not great. We said he had to make plays. He didn't. In his defense, it was just really apparent, even though both sides had 4 sacks. Nebraska's front line was very active, and they were disrupting things. Athan was out of his rhythm. You can tell all game he wasn't comfortable until like in the fourth quarter they started to move the ball a little bit. We also said we can't drop balls. We had 3 drop balls against Washington. Ian Strong, Kenny Fletcher, KJ Dove, wide open field in front. All 3 would have been touchdowns. Black drops a short touchdown. I'm not going to chalk it up, freshmen, we had new guys in there, yada, yada, yada. I have to watch Vanderbilt beat number 1 Alabama today. I have to watch Indiana go 6-0. And if you think that we're going to go back to SHI and get better against Wisconsin, think about it today. They beat Purdue 52-6, and their passing game came alive. Locked through for like 360 yards and 3 touchdowns. Had a couple picks. We're going to need those turnovers if we stand a chance. But they also ran it for 228 yards. They had almost 600 yards against the Purdue team. That's not very good this year, but nonetheless, if that passing game and offense starts to come alive just in time for us, this is far, let me say it right now, far from being a win that you can pencil in as a victory. We had to finish drives and we just couldn't. Greg Schiano, in addition to missing or not setting in motion the process to have that touchdown, have the officials look at it. He missed another one. I don't know if anybody still remembers this one during the Washington game. Washington, the last drive of the game, we commit a penalty on the kickoff. They get it near the 40. They're starting to get into a field goal range. They throw an out. Guy drops the ball near the sideline. The refs called it a catch and a first down, and it was really obvious watching it on the big board. The ball literally dropped and hit the ground. Nothing. That could have cost us that game by some miracle. They hit a 55-yard field goal. And speaking of special teams, we did play old school Greg Schiano ball. How do we lose a game blocking 2 punts? If you told me that we were going to block 2 punts, Dylan Raiola, God bless the defense, because this was 2020, 21, 22 inspired defense, but that played over their heads. But by the end of the game, because the offense could do nothing, especially in the passing game, they wind up giving it up in the end. Although that didn't happen today. Dylan Raiola was 14-28, 164 yards, and was sacked 4 times. That's an unbelievable job. Unbelievable. They held Lloyd and Johnson, their 2 best receivers, 2 catches each. Now they both had, a couple of good chunks in the pass, like 20 yards or 22 yards on a pass reception. Nonetheless, their best offensive weapons we held in check. The play calling, they don't know when to be conservative and they don't know when to get cute. They seem to be misaligned and at a rhythm. The 4th and 1 against Virginia Tech. The end of the game against Washington, where you probably needed to be a little more aggressive. You're just handing the ball up on that RPO option up the middle to Kyle, and then you're giving Washington, one of the best offenses at moving the ball in the country, you're giving them the ball back, and you're just praying that you can hold on. Today on that, the fake field goal and that fourth down pass near the end, that play had no chance. That looked like half the other plays today were at the eighth. Got pressure. Guys pressuring up. Play had no chance of succeeding. This is not the time to, they played well. There's no moral victories anymore. We're watching, Nebraska was 5-7 last year. And now they've surpassed us. Indiana, 5-0, 6-0, whatever they are. And here we are struggling with the same issues game in and game out. What do we have today? 240 yards, 250 yards. Yes, we held Nebraska to similar yardage, 250, 260, whatever it was. We better be awake for Wisconsin. We're going to go through this game in more detail and what went on in the Big Ten today. And some more videos that come up this weekend. But there's no enjoying the week this week. It's as I said to Eric at our annual charity super sampling, where he was a special guest last week. We were talking about Washington. And somebody commented how, Eric was in a good mood that night, and I said it's always a good after a win. It's always nice after a win. And Eric is like, absolutely, it's always better after a win. This was a game that was winnable. Our execution was absolutely pitiful. So we got to get better against Wisconsin, because they're not going to come in here and just roll over. We'll see you the next time.